We've got some major reports coming out that the New York Knicks were trying to get a trade done to land a center prior to the NBA draft. And with Mitchell Robinson potentially leaving in free agency, it sounds like the New York Knicks could revisit the trade market for a center. We're going to break it all down on today's show. As you're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports, my name is Marshall Green, and we are presented by Prize Picks. This reporting is coming from Ian Begley of SNY. Shout out to Ian as he continues to crush it on the New York Knicks beat. He did a mailbag where a question was asked, have the Knicks been in conversations with teams about centers they can trade for? Begley said yes. Before the draft, they checked in with at least one team with a center under contract. Obviously, nothing came to fruition. The team contacted by the Knicks was ultimately unwilling to part with its big man. The Knicks' approach in this check-in was more than just due diligence, according to the team the Knicks spoke with. They were genuinely trying to get a deal done. Was this because they knew Mitchell Robinson would not be back? I don't know the answer to that, but logic tells you they wouldn't have put in a call if they thought Robinson would be back. If the Knicks want to stay under the second apron next season, Robinson would have to take a significant pay cut to return to this team. I think the thing that's most important from that is that these were exploratory conversations for the New York Knicks. Begley said it. They made this call to try to get a deal done. And they would want to get this deal done because they believe Mitchell Robinson is going to leave in free agency, or they are actually operating under the mandate from James Dolan that they have to stay under the second apron. If the Knicks were to make a trade for a center, since they are over that first apron and they are a tax-paying team and they do not have salary cap space, they would have to match the salary in any trade. For instance, if there's a center they want to acquire that makes $5 million, they got to send $5 million out. I think there are three trade candidates on the New York Knicks that could potentially be packaged together to facilitate a trade. Keep your eyes on Miles McBride. Keep your eyes on Pacome Dadier and Tyler Kolek. Miles McBride set to make $3.9 million this upcoming season. Pacome Dadier, $2.9 million, and Tyler Kolek, $2.2 million. Maybe they want to package Dadier and Kolek together and get close to $5.5 million, or they want to go ahead and put others together to make a deal done. They will be creative or have to be creative to get something in motion. I'll just say this. I have a hard time seeing the New York Knicks having a better roster come game one of the NBA season than they did when the NBA Finals ended with Valerio B in their possession if they don't go into the second apron. If you don't go into the second apron, you're likely not going to be able to bring back Mitchell Robinson and or Landry Shamet. And I have a hard time believing you're going to find anybody better than Mitchell Robinson in a trade or in the veteran minimum market in free agency to replace Mitchell Robinson. A trade is the only chance you really have to add a legit backup center. And for I just went through every single center in the NBA that has a contract that the New York Knicks can match the salary of. And we're going to go over some of the trade targets on today's show. They're not better than Mitch. They can't hold a candle to Mitch. They're not even in the same discussion as him. So what are they going to do? They'll first look to Ariel Hukporti, who is a restricted free agent, who I would assume is probably going to come back to this team on a minimum contract, unless there is another team out there that is interested in bringing in Ariel Hukporti on their roster for a salary that is more than the veteran minimum. So we already know they're poking around the trade market. So coming up on today's show, I put together a list of 5 trade targets the New York Knicks could look to pursue in the center market if they want to upgrade that position after Mitchell Robinson leaves in free agency, which I'm still not over, and I don't really like the idea of that reality. Break that down in a moment. Do got to tell you, though, about our presenting sponsor of today's show, and that is Prize Picks. Shout out to Prize Picks for being our presenting sponsor. They're the number one sports pick app in the game. So check them out. Download the app, create an account, use that promo code HMA, play your first $5 lineup, and get $50 in lineups instantly. If you like making money and you like watching sports, you could do both with Prize Picks. It's available in all 50 states. Billions of dollars have been paid out, and it is safe and it is secure. All you have to do is create a lineup of 2 to 6 players, and you either pick more or you pick less on the stats that Prize Picks selects for that player. There's baseball going on every single day. There is the World Cup going on. You can get involved in women's basketball. So many ways to play Prize Picks. In fact, there are already season-long options for the upcoming football season, like passing touchdowns for Jackson Dart, passing yards for Dak Prescott, and rushing touchdowns for Jalen Hurts. So check them out. Download the app, create an account, use that promo code HMA, support the sponsor, be a real one. Play $5, get $50 instantly when you use the promo code HMA. A center that I would be looking at in the trade market if I was the New York Knicks is Moussa Diabate, the big man for the Charlotte Hornets. We just saw them trade LaMelo Ball. They have Kalkbrenner coming off their bench. They added another center in the NBA draft as well. Could Diabate or maybe even Kalkbrenner be available via a trade? I'd call and I'd see about both of those. The things to look at. The upcoming salary this year for Diabate is at $2.4 million. So the New York Knicks could easily facilitate a trade to add the 24-year-old 6'10 big man to their roster. Of course, they would need the Charlotte Hornets to agree with all the second-round picks the New York Knicks now have. They could incentivize them to accept a deal like that. I was really impressed with Diabate this year, especially when he played against the New York Knicks. High effort player. Gives a lot of energy out there. Thought he protected the rim pretty well this year, and he is aggressive on the glass as well. Of all the centers we're going to talk about on today's show, Diabate might be number one for me. If he's your backup center, I think you're in a good spot. I think it could be hard to convince Charlotte to make this trade happen. But you got to do what you got to do, and you got to make moves, and I would love to see Diabate be a backup big for the New York Knicks. Next guy we're going to talk about is Yves Missi, a player that we have seen the New York Knicks connected to time and time again over the last 12 months in the trade market. He was a player that the New York Knicks reportedly checked in with at the NBA trade deadline at 6'11", 235 pounds, still just 22 years old, making $3.5 million. The Knicks could facilitate that trade if they want to as well. He is not Mitchell Robinson. Not at all. But he plays a similar brand of basketball that Robinson does. Long, hyper-athletic, rim-running big who can give you some juice on the glass as well and can defend the rim. He can block shots. He can play the passing lanes. He can run in transition. This past year, in his rookie year, he played 73 games. This past year, he played 66 games. I think he's a good player. I don't know if the New Orleans Pelicans would be open to trading him, but I like the idea of Yves Missi being a player that maybe the New York Knicks could pursue. What about this option? Deandre Ayton. This one would have to be a little bit tricky. There's a player option coming up this year for Deandre Ayton. To trade for him, you would need for him to opt in to that. And you would have to create a sign-and trade. Maybe Mitchell Robinson going to the Los Angeles Lakers and Deandre Ayton coming back to the New York Knicks. He makes $8.1 million. There's really no way the New York Knicks can get up to that much money unless it is a sign-and trade. I think if you end up with DeAndre Ayton as your backup big this year, I'm not sure it gets much better than that. Do I love DeAndre Ayton? No. Do I want DeAndre Ayton being my starting center? No. But if I can get him to play 12 to 15 to 18 minutes a night, he could score it. He could rebound it. He showed the ability to be a winning player before he was a part of the Phoenix Suns. When they went to the NBA Finals, probably has the relationship with Mikal Bridges. You can get a scouting report from Bridges on him. Look, we're trying to make the most out of this situation that we can, and a sign-and trade where you don't lose, you lose Mitchell Robinson, but you don't lose him for nothing. Getting DeAndre Ayton back in return could make some sense. Day'Ron Sharpe, the big man for the Brooklyn Nets, is a player that makes some sense as well. In a similar fashion to like we talked about Deandre Ayton, he has a team option that the Brooklyn Nets are going to have to make a decision on. And at $6.2 million, it would have to involve Deuce McBride, and then it would have to involve either one of Tyler Kolek or Pacome Dadier to get a deal done. And Day'Ron Sharpe has showed over the last couple of years that he's getting better and better and better. He could score around the rim. He's an athletic guy as well. He's been someone that can attack the glass, over 6.5 rebounds each of the last 2 years. In 2023, he was right around that number as well. If Day'Ron Sharpe is your first big off the bench, I think you're in a fine spot. He's not to the same caliber that Mitchell Robinson is, but I like the idea of Sharpe being our backup big over some of the other options that are out there, and even more so than Ariel Hukporti or Trey Jamison if they want to bring them back. Last player we're going to talk about is a guy that I wanted the New York Knicks to draft out of Marquette, and that's Oso Ighodaro, the big man that's been in the NBA for 2 years, still just 23 years old, 6'11", 235 pounds, and I think that he would be a great fit in a Mike Brown system. He is a guy that is a dribble handoff guy. He could operate on the perimeter. He could dribble the ball. He could facilitate as well. And at $2.2 million this upcoming season, it could make some sense, and it could easily be done if the Knicks want to make that happen. Played 82 games this year. I thought he got better than he was in his rookie year, and he's got game, man. He could score from the foul line down. He's got that push shot in a very similar way that we saw Isaiah Hartenstein have when he was on the New York Knicks. He's aggressive on the glass, plays a winning brand of basketball, gives you some juice on the defensive side of the ball, and he could be a playmaker, a playmaking hub like we've seen Mike Brown use at the center spot with Karl-Anthony Towns and Sabonis back with his days on the Sacramento Kings. So maybe a guy like Diabate, Yves Missi, Deandre Ayton, Day'Ron Sharpe, or Oso Ighodaro. As we look at all these guys, none of them are Mitchell Robinson. And it would be a downgrade. And I don't love downgrading the roster after you just won an NBA championship. But if you're not going to go to the second apron, these are the options and maybe some others that are out there right now for the Knicks. I'll ask you, is one of those guys someone you would want to trade for? Comment their name down below, or give me another name of a center that you would like to see the New York Knicks go ahead and trade for. It's slim pickings. The options are not great. I've heard Gogo Patatse as a name to monitor. We'll see about that. I don't hate that idea, but again, you're not getting better if you don't go into the second apron. And you're going to have to hope to find somebody for the cheap that's going to overproduce, and then you're right back in the same spot as you are right now next year. I'll say this. And I don't want to complain about the Knicks. We're NBA champs, and it's been the best 10 days of my sports fandom life. But if you knew you weren't going into the second apron and you knew you weren't bringing back Mitchell Robinson, why didn't you draft a center? Like, I get it. I like the guys that you drafted, but you made a lot of trades. You could have drafted one center that you liked and you thought you could develop. They know more than me, so I'll lean on them. But at the end of the day, that's just like I'm having a hard time figuring out why they did not do that. Maybe their plan is to bring back Mitch, and then we don't have to worry about it. But all signs and all arrows point to they're not, and he didn't draft a big. I don't know. I trust in Leon Rose, and I think he'll figure it out, and I think we'll be right back competing for an NBA title next year. But still some questions along the way, which is good to have. Excited to break this content down with you. If you want to be a part of Knicks Now this offseason, subscribe. Give me a follow over on social media.